Golden rule. Golden rule is also known as modifying rule. Suppose there is a gold bar. If we try to fit this gold bar around a finger, then it is not possible. So what we will do is we will modify this gold bar into a gold ring. And if we try to fit this gold ring around the finger, then yes, it is possible to put it around the finger. In a similar manner, if there is any word in any statute or in any act, and if we give this word its ordinary meaning, if we apply the ordinary meaning to that word, and if this ordinary meaning is not consistent with the rest of the statute, or it is opposing the rest of the statute, or this ordinary meaning is not logical, or it does not make any sense, or if this ordinary meaning is not according to the intention of the legislators who made that statute or who made that act, then in that case we will modify this ordinary meaning. Now suppose this gold ring is the modified meaning, so we will modify this ordinary meaning so that this modified meaning is consistent with the rest of the statute, or it does not oppose the rest of the statute, or this modified meaning makes some sense, it is logical, or this modified meaning is according to the intention of the legislators. So what happened in golden rule? Whenever any word is given its ordinary meaning and that ordinary meaning is not consistent with the rest of the statute, it is opposing the rest of the statute, it is not logical, it does not make any sense, or that ordinary meaning is not according to the intention of the legislators, then in that case we modify the meaning, or we can say we modify the ordinary meaning, and that modified meaning is consistent with the rest of the statute, it does not oppose the rest of the statute, it is logical, it makes sense, or it is according to the intention of the legislators. On the face of it, this it seems that this rule solves all the problems, therefore it is known as golden rule. And in this rule we are modifying the ordinary meaning, therefore it is also known as modifying rule. There are two ways to apply this rule. One is the broad approach, another one is the narrow approach. When the broad approach is used, whenever any word is having only one literal meaning or only one ordinary meaning, and if we apply this ordinary meaning, it creates absurdity, that is, it is not logical, it does not make any sense, then in that case we will modify this ordinary meaning so that this modified meaning makes sense, it is logical, it does not create any absurdity. When we use narrow approach, when any word is having more than one literal meaning, then out of these the meaning which is logical, which makes sense, which does not create absurdity, only that meaning will be used, only that meaning will be applied, and the meaning which causes absurdity or which does not make any sense or which is illogical, that meaning will be discarded. For example, suppose there is a law which according to which land is given to landless persons engaged in agricultural activities. So the literal meaning of persons can be businessman, a businessman can be a person, or a laborer can also be a person, but the intention was to give the land to landless persons engaged in agricultural activities. Laborers are engaged in agricultural activities, businessmen are not engaged in agricultural activities. So the meaning provided to the word person will be laborer and not businessman. Laborer will make sense, it will be logical. Now let's see the theory portion. The origin of this rule. For the first time in 1857, Lord Wensleydale defined this rule in Gray versus Pearson case. What he said: the grammatical and ordinary sense of the words is to be adhered unless that would lead to some absurdity or some repugnance or inconsistency with the rest of the instrument, in which case the grammatical and ordinary sense of the words may be modified so as to avoid the absurdity and inconsistency, but no further. What does it mean? Like in normal situations, when the words are clear, they are not ambiguous. In that case, the words should be given their grammatical and ordinary meaning. But when giving grammatical or ordinary meaning leads to absurdity, absurdity means it does not make any sense or it is illogical. That is, that is giving grammatical or ordinary meaning is not logical, it is nonsense, it causes absurdity and or some repugnance or inconsistency with the rest of the instrument. Repugnancy means opposing. That is, by applying the ordinary meaning, it opposes the rest of the instrument. The ordinary meaning is opposing the rest of the statute, or the ordinary meaning is not consistent with the rest of the statute. In that case, the grammatical or ordinary meaning may be modified so that absurdity and inconsistency is avoided. That is, so that it can make some sense and inconsistency is avoided. That is, the meaning, modified meaning will be consistent, but no further. Okay, only to that extent, so that the absurdity and inconsistency is avoided. Only to that extent the ordinary meaning will be modified, but no further. In simple words, at first the words should be given their ordinary and natural meaning. If this leads to absurdity or ambiguity or inconsistency with the intention of the legislature or with the rest of the statute, then the meaning of the words may be modified to remove the absurdity, ambiguity, or inconsistency. What are the names of this rule? On the face of it, this rule solves all the problems, therefore it is known as golden rule. Since the literal meaning is modified to some extent, this is known as modifying rule. We have seen the ways to apply the golden rule. One is narrow approach, when the words or phrases are capable of more than one literal meaning. This allows the judges to apply the meaning that avoids absurdity. Okay. The broad approach, when there is only one literal meaning, but applying that one literal meaning would cause an absurdity. Under this approach, the court will modify the meaning to avoid this absurdity. Case laws, we have seen UP Bhudan Yagna Samiti versus Brij Kishore. Court held that the term landless person under section 14 of Bhudan Yagna Act, that term landless person signified landless laborers only and not landless businessmen, because the object of the act was to provide land to laborers engaged in agriculture and not to businessmen. What are the advantages of golden rule? This rule allows judges to choose the most sensible meaning when there are more than one meaning of the word. Where there is a problem using the literal meaning, there it provides an escape route. It provides reasonable decisions where literal rule would lead to absurd decisions. It immediately corrects the drafting errors, loopholes are closed. It respects the parliament except in limited situations. What are the disadvantages of golden rule? There are no real guidelines as to where it can be used. It is very limited in its use, so it is only used on rare occasions. Outcome of case will be dependent on the judge, because what seems absurd to one judge may not be absurd to another. It is not always possible to predict whether court will use the golden rule or not, therefore making it hard for lawyers and people who are advising their clients. So this was your golden rule. Full course of interpretation of statutes is available at www.lockup.com website. Full course includes video lectures of all the topics of interpretation of statutes, plus the PDF file of the full course. They are available at website www.lockup.com.